Spleen, spleen meridian. What is spleen? What are the meridians? In East Asian medicine, EAM, we will call it EAM, East Asian medicine. There are 12 main acupuncture meridians, also known as channels, that carry energy, acu, chi, it is pronounced as chi, and blood to provide nourishment throughout the body. In a healthy person, the flow of these vital substances are freely moving in a state of dynamic equilibrium. However, when the flow of chi or blood becomes blocked in one or more of these channels from emotional stress and injuries or illness or pain and other symptoms of disharmony manifest in the body. Each meridian is associated with an organ system as well as a host of other natural phenomena. Since the foundations of East Asian medicine were created on the basis of observing the human body as a microcosm of nature, from the elements metal, air, water, fire, earth, these elements, and climate or shift of seasons and more. After all, we are just as dynamic as these cosmic changes, as we see as yatha brahmande tatha pinde, like that. Our internal system have their own rhythms and are always shifting towards homeostasis. As we dwell in these next few winter months, Chinese medicine's wisdom encourages safeguarding our spleen, which is not just our digestive fire but the source of creation for energy and blood and a keeper for our immune system. In EAM, the rhythms of the seasons have always been regarded as a way to understand the inner workings of the body. Before microscopes, blood samples, and x rays, states of wellness versus diseases were compared to the forces of nature. Someone might have too much fire or an accumulation of dampness. In the winter, it's more common to see symptoms of cold, pain, obstruction from chi or blood stagnation, and wind or cold invasions from airborne pathogens. These phenomena garner their weather related names because of our external environment changes. In EAM, we believe that our internal system to do too. When it comes in to the topic of these articles, as the temperature cools down, so does the middle burner, the area that governs our digestive organs, that is middle burner, and specifically the energy of the spleen. In EAM, a strong spleen is the cornerstone to healthy digestion. Its western role include storing the blood and fighting infections. In EAM, the spleen also shares similar functions to the pancreas, which releases insulin so the body's cells can store glucose and convert it to energy. In our terms, we say the spleen cooks our food. It warms and transforms food into chi energy and blood to promote everyday metabolic activities. For this reason, we call the spleen the digestive fire. In TCM, we say the spleen prefers a warm and dry environment to function properly. As a in organ, the spleen is the first organ to receive food and drink when ingested. It acts as a shifting container, assimilating what we take in, separating the pure chi from the impure chi. That is what the body can use to make energy and blood, versus any excess that is then passed along to the stomach intestine to be digested further before being eliminated. The same shifting function goes for what we take in energetically from our environment. The spleen is one of the body's first lines of defenses in maintaining our energetic boundaries. Its assimilating role can be metaphysically seen in deciding what's our versus what belongs to others, such as their energy, projections, wounding, opinions, etc. When the spleen is overburdened, it's not uncommon that the person with the deficiency also feels burdened by what they pick up from others, consciously or subconsciously, carrying what doesn't belong to them. More on the on that below. So what weakens the spleen? The spleen's digestive and energetic boundary keeping capacities are taxed by. How it is taxed by? By chronic stress, worry. Worry is the emotion of the spleen. Overeating, but also not eating enough. Eating irregularly. Hello, blood sugar, ma'am. Excess physical and mental work without rest. Frequent consumption of processed foods. Frequent consumption of raw and cold foods. This last point, the negative impact cold and raw foods have on digestion, is one of the most surprising facts for clients to hear, since here in the West, salads, smoothies, and smoothies bowls are seen as the go to for a quick, healthy meals fix. However, those are not the only culprits behind the splinky deficiency. When consumed often enough, sushi, yogurt, cream cheese, ice cream, and most dairy from cow's milk can be dampening to the digestive fire, depleting the spleen's energy and therefore its ability to transform food into chi and blood. Here is an analogy. Think about the spleen like a pot on the stove. Let's say the flame under the vessel of choice is burning as it should, and the contents you place in the pot, your drink or food, are warm or even room temperature. Naturally, they will break down and cook more efficiently because it is on the room temperature. The material which we use are in room temperature. But imagine if you place cold or frozen food instead, it going to take a lot more time and energy for it to do the same. In that sense, your spleen is being taxed because it has to work harder to do the same job. And when you are already running on low energy, dipping into reserves makes a deficiency harder to recover from. This is not to say you should eliminate these foods from your diet, live your life, but moderate them if you feel called to. If raw, cold, processed foods are consistent staples without other spleen friendly foods, that is, whole food that are warm or cooked, and you experience many of the symptoms I am about to share below, then if we are working together, I would encourage talking about ways to strengthen the spleen going forward. Symptoms to watch for. When the spleen has to work extra hard, occur, use more energy, more prana, more chi than it produces. To transform food, it becomes tired, leading to sluggish digestion, which means poor circulation, nutrient absorption, and energy blood production. This often leads to chronic fatigue, brain fog, chronic bloating, loose stools, poor appetite, indigestion, like food just sits there, muscle weakness and soreness, nutrient deficiencies, a pale tongue with teeth marks on the edge. When weakened for long enough, the spleen cannot produce the chi and blood needed to fuel the body. This malnourishment can be lead to blood deficiency, anemia, the accumulation of dampness, inflammation, while also negatively affecting the mind and the spirit too. The deficient spleen can mean a disturbed spirit. What is that? As you read, worry is the emotion connected to spleen deficiency. Worry. However, this imbalance not only affects the physical functioning physiology of the spleen but in the animation of the spleen's spirit as well. What do I mean by spirit? In EAM, the spirit of an organ is the most ethereal, non tangible expression of energy. You can think of it like a personality. Each organ spirit has a unique role and characteristics that come out when that organ is balanced or not. If imbalanced, we say the spirit is vexed or disturbed. The spleen's spirit is called the YEE or YIE. The E governs our thought, intellect, and comprehension. It influences our intention to pursue our goals as well as our creativity. Having a strong and clear intention, E helps us to think clearly, process information, and create smart, structured plans which make our daily to dos and dreams more attainable. By this point, you know how a weak spleen leads to poor digestion. Well, on a spirit level, a weak spleen disturbs the E, causing poor digestion of thoughts. In other words, the E relies on physical nourishment derived from the spleen to carry out its metaphysical function. This is why a spleen deficiency can also manifest as mental and emotional disharmonies. Signs to look out for. What are the signs of these emotional disharmonies? Anxiety and panic attacks, a dampened spirit, feeling lethargic, unmotivated, bored, or obsessive or ruminating thoughts, creative blocks, lacking clear intention to move forward on a project, poor memory or concentration, insomnia, especially trouble falling asleep due to a racing mind, feeling overwhelmed, vulnerable, and or drained energetically, taking on too much trouble compartmentalizing or delegating, think of a burdened spleens, or a damp swamp. It soaks up everything with no outlet for flow, leading to festering, frustration, and worrying. How to strengthen our spleen? Key we will see in a next video.